The mainstream high streets are already dead. Dead. They can't survive. Their patient has died.
Mike Ashley's comments to the Housing, Communities and Local Government Committee may sound exaggerated, but when MPs asked to speak to the Chief Executive of Sports Direct in December of 2018, they were trying to produce a report on what the UK High Street would be like in 2030. But with years of decline against increasingly competitive online threats, stagnant economic growth and a relentless rise in rents, rates and overheads, there's little optimism that the UK High Street will survive in its current format. So for retailers already on the brink, what would be the effect of a sudden shock to the system?
It is now clear that Mr. Skripal and his daughter were poisoned with a military-grade nerve agent of a type developed by Russia. This is part of a group of nerve agents known as Novichok.
The eyes of the world descended on the small, rural city of Salisbury, but the focus was on the tensions with Russia, and as 24-hour news crews blasted screens across the globe with images of hazmat suits and police cordons, businesses in the city soon found footfall plummeting.
We were open along this stretch here, but we suffered a between 70 and 90% loss of footfall in the worst sort of 2.5 months of the ongoing incidents. So yes, it affected us heavily and was a very worrying time for everybody concerned, really.
But not everyone agrees the footfall decline is local to Salisbury.
We're all in retail. My daughter's in Bournemouth. She's quiet at the moment. So it's easy to say it's just Salisbury, but the whole retail environment, I mean, in Bournemouth in particular, Marks and Spencer's has gone, the House of Fraser's going to go, they say Debenhams is in trouble here and there. So it's easy to say, bad footfall, but I'm not being selfish, but we're doing quite nicely at the moment, so that's all I can think of,
However, Salisbury's Business Improvement District puts the yearly footfall figures at a staggering 12.5% reduction compared to less than 3% for both the South West and UK averages. But what these figures do not convey was just how much day-to-day trading in Salisbury was affected by the decontamination efforts.
Immediately after the incident on the Monday morning, we came into work to be told that there was an incident within the Maltings. Nobody seemed to know what it was. Initially, they thought it was drug-related.
I arrived as normal on the Monday morning. There was snow on the ground back in March. Parked my car at the service yard at the rear. Walked round to the front to be met with a police cordon at either end, or just a police tape and a police car at either end of our row of shops, and just inquired as to, would I be able to get into my shop a bit later. Went off for an hour, took the girls for a coffee, and then came back. Was told maybe come back the next day, but going home on that evening, I turned on the BBC News, and there was the front of my shop on the headline news, and that's the first I really knew of what was happening.
I originally saw it on Facebook and just thought it was just like a small incident until we came in and realised what had happened. Well, it was just shock. We didn't know what to expect or anything, so
Sort of left in the dark the first few days. We weren't informed. Initially, we were concerned around the risk of contamination when we found out they were outside washing down with hazmat suits, and we weren't told to keep the doors shut or anything, so it was quite concerning.
Their shops in the Maltings, a retail arcade near the city's main car park, were placed into lockdown. Police cordons were erected along the front of their stores, and the entirety of nearby restaurants, Zizzi's and the Mill were made off limits. While the police caution was understandable, retailers were frustrated by months of disruption and a sizable security presence.
I think it was probably drawn out a lot longer than it should have been. I think it should have been dealt with a lot faster. I think if it was in a bigger city, like somewhere like London, it would have taken time, but it certainly wouldn't have taken months. It would have been, I think, weeks rather than months, because that city needs to keep going all the time, doesn't it?
Of course, being in business, you just want it to be open sooner rather than later and getting back to normal. So as the weeks turned into months, and you heard that we had visits from various politicians saying that they would make it as quick as they could and businesses would be back and running, And then to hear nothing for weeks after that was a little bit, like, we got a little bit despondent, but to be truthful with you, we had to come in and get on with it.
So what could local authorities do to protect the city's economy? They developed a package of recovery measures that included business rate relief, compensation, and marketing help for the traders of the city. But the biggest idea was to provide free parking for the city centre to encourage shoppers to return. Initially, the idea was well received by both the retailers and general public, but with mounting costs, the council reduced the time free parking would start, first to 12 p.m. and then to 3 p.m. How did you feel about the free parking?
Fabulous. Who wouldn't? I think it was a brilliant idea. I feel now it's a shame they couldn't have done free parking until 12 rather than from 3, because I think after 3, mums who come into town with their children, well, they don't, the children's tired after school, they tend to drop children off and then come into town, which I think would have been better, but, you know.
But if they'd have kept it from 12 until late, it would have helped people come into the city in the afternoons. They could have just kept it till Christmas. It would have made the world a difference, I think.
To reinstate the parking charges has been a little bit frustrating, but I think people are tired of trying to fight for everything. It's been such a long haul, so I'm hopeful that we'll have a good Christmas as a city. Footfall's still got a little way to go, but I think that's to be expected, and maybe in another year or two we'll see things completely back to normal, or maybe even better than they were before. Who knows?
Is there anything else you think that could be done to attract shoppers back to Salisbury?
Parking. That's the one and only word. If they just kept that free from midday until Christmas, would have helped no end. Now, as it is, they not only come in, it's free from 3 o'clock, so they have 2 hours to shop if they want to come in for free parking. And the number of people that come in here complaining about it, it's ridiculous.
Given the mixed feedback of the traders, I asked the leader of Salisbury City Council how he felt the city responded to such an unprecedented situation.
I think the biggest achievements of the recovery have been twofold, really. Firstly, we managed to minimise the casualties, the disruption. Life did go on in Salisbury. The communication between the authorities and residents was generally very good. We were able to reassure people and make sure that we had that business continuity. I think the second thing is that we're now moving from a reactive situation to more of a planning for the future. And again, Wiltshire Council have been very good at working with the City Council, with the Salisbury Bid, with the Chamber of Commerce and other organisations, putting together plans for the future, not only to make Salisbury as it was, but to grow and through resilience make sure that actually out of all this we emerge stronger and as a more resilient city.
But if the events of 2018 have proved one thing, Salisbury's not operating in a bubble, and just as the global politics of the Novichok incident were beyond their control, as they look to 2019, another threat is looming.
Well, the first thing that I think Brexit may deliver is a reduction in the value of the pound. And so I would say to all the British people, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to have a holiday in the United Kingdom. And where could be better than South Wiltshire? And I would say to all of our overseas visitors, Brexit does not mean in any way that we're not a welcoming international city and we want to see people here. So nothing changes in that regard. And short-term politics will never trump the historic medieval nature of this city.
The 2008 financial crisis saw the UK economy contract by around 2% with devastating effects to high streets. And with projections showing the economic impact of Brexit ranging from 0.5% to as high as 3%, every business in the UK will have to fight hard to keep their doors open and lights on. Novichok may not be as damaging to Salisbury as some would claim, but it has definitely weakened them, and with footfall still not recovered, they are more vulnerable once again to events completely outside of their control.
It's gorgeous, it's very easy on the eye, it's a beautiful place to be.
I've met some amazing people that you don't realise are living around you within this city.
You can't carry on Salisbury only being known for that. I mean, it's a beautiful city, so we just want people to come back and recognise that.
Shop local, shop like places like myself or the independents, because if they don't, they're going to lose us, because obviously the town has taken a hit and the footfall is still down, so they need to come back and use us. We're here, we're safe.